Tina Tenret. I work for Provise Management Group, and I am a financial planner, and I'm a vice president at Provise. Well, I loved reporting. It was fantastic. I was an investigative reporter specializing in financial fraud. And as I was growing up, I grew up in an affluent area of Connecticut. It's a suburb of New York City. But my mother was always deathly afraid of running out of money, even though we had no reason to have that fear. And she wasn't the only one. Many other women like her were just worried about how they would afford retirement, how they would put the kids through college, how they would pay for their care when they're elderly. And at that point, it was called the bag lady syndrome, even though this was Westport, Connecticut. And when my mother got divorced, her fear became amplified financially, as I see many times in divorced women. And when I was 29 years old, she committed suicide. And so I looked back on my life and thought there's got to be something more meaningful that I could be doing besides television news. And I thought about my mother's fears and how I could help other women avoid those fears, as well as everything good in my life had been a result of my parents' financial planning. They started saving for college when I was born. When I got my first big raise in TV news, which wasn't much, my father forced me to budget. And I saw that it really wasn't much. Everything was, so if I could do that for other families, I made the decision to do it. Something happens and you realize what this means to the person on the other end, and you're just so thrilled to have this job and this work. I mean, I was just in Virginia meeting with a widow, and to anybody else, she seems to have it all together. And when you stop talking financials and stop talking about this account and that account, and you just talk to her, she's scared, she's overwhelmed, she's heartbroken. She has a basement full of her husband's valuable things that she doesn't know what to do with. She doesn't know how to handle these accounts because he always did it. And to say, here, I'll take your hand, I'll walk you through this, and you'll be okay, means the world to her. It's not about money. And even milestones. I mean, when her portfolio reached a certain point, she started crying because she said, I wish my husband could have seen this, because all our lives we socked away money, and if he could only have seen this. And it's things like that that keep me up at night, but in a good way. So when I went on my first safari and I was getting ready to book it, it was a $10,000 trip, which to me is a lot of money. And I started feeling very guilty before I booked it. And is this too extreme? I've always been taught from the time I was in grade school, you know, what's going to get you into college? What's going to get you that great job? Save for retirement. It's all about delayed gratification and doing the right thing. So I couldn't pull the trigger on booking that safari. And that night I had a dream, and I was on my deathbed in the dream, and I was holding a globe just like this. And on the globe, the parts of the world where I had been shone in pink. And I could see, even though I've been lucky enough to travel through Europe, through Britain, through the United States, some in Central and South America, I could see when you think about the whole world and you think where you've been and what you've seen, it's a tiny corner of the world, and all of this I hadn't seen. And I thought, this is what life is. Sometimes you just have to grab it and live a big life, and not always. It's a balance. As a financial planner, I have to say it's a balance, but not everything has to be about for tomorrow. And so I went ahead on the safari, and it was the best experience of my life. So I always remember when I come to experiences like this, the idea of holding the globe and seeing that at the end of my life, I don't want to think I only used up a tiny little percentage of my living power. I want to live big.